AJ Eckstein, actually, the founder and CEO of Creator Match. Each of you has successfully navigated the transition from content creation to founding or leading a business. What inspired you to take that leap, and how has your background as a creator shaped your approach to entrepreneurship?
So I have a question for the room. Raise your hand if you are a creator first. So start there. Who's a creator in the room? Okay, so most people. And then raise your hand if you're a founder. And I'm curious how many people are founders versus wanting to be founders. I think for me, a lot of both, right? I think for me, the biggest thing I ask myself every day is, am I a creator first or a founder first? And I think, great example, Mr. Beast. While Mr. Beast has founded Feastables and a million other companies, his goal was always to be the biggest YouTuber, creator first. I think for myself, I want to be founder first and create content on behalf of my business. And I think that shift, that POV is so important as you're going down this journey, because you're going to start to tailor your content maybe for brands and doing partnerships, or is it more so for your business? And I think my journey is a bit different than your both incredible journeys. I started in corporate, similar to you. And I think we share a lot of those days in corporate. I was there for 3 years, and it got to the point where I saw the people who were much higher than me, these lifers that we call them at the company. And frankly, they were rather miserable, in my opinion. And they weren't passionate. They were doing the same thing over and over again. And it just wasn't something I wanted to continue doing. So I was in management consulting for about 3 years, and I would get in trouble for moving too quickly. My whole mentality in life is go in, break things, fix them, break things. Almost like the rage room is like my bedroom, basically. Right. And I always wanted to hop a fence and ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. And obviously in corporate, the setting, you can't really go in and break things. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom's first gen, very similar to you. And I wanted, instead of this, which I think corporate is like this, which is great for a lot of people, I wanted this, right? The highest of highs, lowest of lows. So I think everybody here, first off, it's okay if you don't want to jump, right? Everyone can't be a founder, because if everybody's a founder, then everyone's a solopreneur. But ask yourself the life that you want to live. And for me, and I'm not going to pretend that, being a founder is all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, I think you can all agree. Some days, you get punched 20 times, and you get punched 20 more times. And some days are literally, you ask yourself, like, why did I sign up for this? But it's the days that make it all worthwhile, the journey, the adventure. You have to ask yourself what journey you want to take. And for me, it was taking that leap, taking tactical steps, building a safety net before making that jump, and then now living the life that I want to live.
A follow-up question I'm certainly interested to hear from everyone too is, really as creators as well, like you also are uniquely positioned to identify these gaps in the market since you have such a direct connection with your customer base. I'm kind of curious if you could share a moment when you recognized maybe an unmet need that led you to launch your venture. Like, I think that's one thing, for a lot of folks potentially, right, is like at that creator stage, it's like, how do you go about evaluating like what you do next? Is there a total addressable market? Is there profitability in it? I think helping people kind of identify that ideation to execution stage will be really helpful as well.
I have a kind of a different take. I think you have to be selfish in what you build. You should always build for yourself first. I think great example for you is you saw the problems firsthand. You wanted to build something for yourself, but you knew that millions of people also had that problem. I think for me, starting out my creator journey on LinkedIn, which I know everyone thinks that's crazy. Even the Jubilee guy, right? He's like, raise your hand if you create on Instagram, TikTok. And I told my friend, I'm like, no chance he mentions LinkedIn. Of course he did, right? The platform is so new. There's so much pain in the creator community because you have these creators who are, we call them business creators, who they speak to not people who are maybe selling lip gloss or clothing, but who are business owners, who are executives, who are founders, CEOs. There's no way to monetize. So I was in that bucket creating content on this hamster wheel, never able to make $1. And I have all these friends who have 500,000, 5 million followers, and we all have that same pain point. So my first goal was, how do I solve that pain point? And we started with a brand agency where we rep the biggest brands in the world to run these campaigns, like the Notion, HubSpots, BetterHelp's of the world, and now building software to help these creators and brands get matched. So I think anytime that you're thinking about even content, like what content do you want to see that doesn't exist? And then you should go and build it for yourself first, and then go out and create. So for myself, all of the content for Creator Match is just more so documenting what we're doing as a business versus creating net new content, building business in public, because I never saw that this content existed on LinkedIn of someone in their 20s who's a founder who can actually talk about not just the highest of highs. One of my best videos ever was the biggest failures of 2024. How we lost $20,000 here, how we made mistakes here, how you screwed up here and that crushed it, because I'm all about transparency.
I think one thing in particular is like I feel like people get caught up in these really big kind of like grandiose moments where you lose sight of just being present with your business and looking for these signals that you were talking about to give you these aha moments, if you will, and kind of like give you that, I would say, that check where it's like, all right, yes, this is the direction we should go in. And I think kind of curious to follow up to that too. I think one thing I would love to hear more too is we obviously just talked about like signals and what you should look for in terms of when you start a business. I'm curious, kind of taking that a step further as you've matured your businesses in each way, what maybe channels or platforms are you kind of like relying on for performance versus awareness? And I think, Colleen, what you just mentioned too is a lot of people are kind of focused on these vanity top of funnel awareness metrics. And so I'm kind of curious, maybe you have like strategies that's like helped you kind of weed in of what's driving your visibility versus what's actually kind of like hitting your bottom line. And if there's maybe any unsexy channels that you recommend, like email, SMS, right? These less flashy things. I would love to hear that. I think those kind of like tactical insights could help a lot of folks too, in terms of that kind of further maturity in their own ways.
For me, I mean, again, imagine if I said YouTube instead of LinkedIn, right? The most boring platform out there is the BD platform like LinkedIn. But there's few people that even, I recognize some people here that are like, I kind of love LinkedIn. Like, if you get away from, okay, the majority of the content is pretty cringe, it's actually a fantastic place to doom scroll, because if you spend an hour on LinkedIn versus an hour on TikTok versus an hour on Instagram, like think about the journey of those three.
Yeah.
And an hour on LinkedIn, you're probably going to learn something. Like I'm here right now because of content that I posted on LinkedIn. Every speaking gig that I've gotten, every opportunity, all of our leads now is all inbound from outbound organic content, right? Especially if you're going after other founders, executives, CEOs, like trying to get after the decision makers, they're on LinkedIn. And also there's 1 billion users. About 1% of those users actually post consistently. And the bar is so much lower in terms of good content. Like TikTok, I feel like you have to be the best. YouTube, you have to be the best. LinkedIn, you could be decent and still go great. Like, true. The bar is low.
We're all moving.
Right? So people think I work at LinkedIn. I don't work at that. But I think for me also, I'm a founder first, creator second. So I can't post on every platform and do a podcast here and a YouTube channel there. So my best return on time, not ROI, but ROT, is LinkedIn. Also, I need to be a creator as well to make sure that I could address the pain points that other creators are feeling. And there's no better place for us than being on LinkedIn, building a brand there. And also, like you said, the credibility piece, it's so important that I have credibility in our space to talk to creators and brands.
Thank you all so much for your participation and just the knowledge darts that you really just provided to everyone. I think is just really powerful to hear from folks that have taken that leap and gone the next step. And thank you all again from Stan. And